Welcome, Alberto.
Thank you. Thank you so much. How have you been?
Life is good, man. You have the hard job. I just have to write checks. So
I don't know. I think getting deals done is probably quite tough, you know?
I think it depends. The market's very weird. A lot of people ask me, what does it take to raise a Series A? As we were talking about your Series A. And it's like, it very much is dependent. Like world models a year ago, nobody even knew what they were.
No.
And today you were, to your credit, able to raise a great round. I know companies right now doing 10 million in revenue and they can't raise.
That's crazy.
Because the category is not hot. VCs are very much momentum chasers. If the category is hot, then it's easy to get the deal done. But if you're early, like you were, then it's a very weird market. Thank you for doing this.
No, this is great. Thank you.
It would be fun to just learn from you. Folks don't know you just raised a great Series A, coming out of stealth as well.
Yeah.
I think like a lot of people don't even know what a world model is. A lot of people don't know what Reactor is.
Yeah.
Maybe just share like a quick preview of what Reactor does. How did you even stumble into world models?
So first of all, very happy to be chatting about this. And so world models, we at Reactor define them as a type of model that is stateful and that can ingest new inputs in real time and can produce outputs in real time that take into consideration the previous outputs and context about either the world or other implicit things. For example, that means that when you ask a world model to produce the next frame, for example, if it's a video world model, it will take into consideration the frames that it produced before, the new inputs, if any, and or any context that's available to it to make the decision. Other types of models, for example, image and video models, they don't necessarily take previous output in consideration, which means that they're not stateful, and also they're not interactive. Because if you give them a new input or something like that, then it's going to produce a new output without taking into consideration what came before. So they're different in that sense that they're stateful, they're usually interactive, and also they take into consideration context. So that's how we define them. They're not necessarily like the genie. I mean, of course, that's a type of world model, but I think that's a too narrow definition. And then in terms of what Reactor does is, we saw that in the market, everybody was rushing to make world models, to train them and to produce weights for that. But basically nobody was thinking about the implications of when you have these models, like how do you run them at scale? And the assumption was for almost many years actually that it would have been as easy as running video and image models or text or large language models, meaning that the infrastructure and systems and software you had created for those would apply just the same, which is not true. And we saw that coming. And so we were like, it's kind of incredible that we're meeting so many companies trying to train models, and then they really struggle with the inference, they struggle with the optimizations, they struggle with productization. We should fill that gap. And also it's something that to us comes very natural given our backgrounds. And so that's how kind of part of the story to how Reactor came to be, I would say.
Did you start up with this idea?
No.
Did you start building world models?
No. So me and Bryce, my co-founder, we come from the 3D graphics real-time background. And so instinctively towards September 2024, the first thing we did was looking into text to 3D, like generating meshes and point clouds and whatnot. And so the first step was like, okay, let's try these models that exist. At the time, there was a model called Trellis that came out by Microsoft and others. And, they did a decent job, but it was often poor quality. And so you would ask to generate a chair and it would look okay-ish, but not really usable in anything serious. And so we built the first actually text to 3D plugin for Blender that used Trellis and like basically had a RAM pod Docker image to do it, blah, blah, blah. And it worked and was like, okay, cool. But the results were really poor.
Yeah.
So you go in the literature and looking up, for solutions. And the first thing you find is that, rightly, some people say, well, we don't have enough 3D data to train a generalizable 3D, text to 3D world model. Like the raw 3D is not enough to really generalize well and make a model that's powerful. So we need to go and find 3D data somewhere else, not in 3D meshes. And the next best thing is videos, because any video shot by a human will have some sort of multi-view unless you keep a phone static and that's all. But even then, actually, you would be moving and stuff.
Like here.
Right. So you're producing multi-view images, let's say, at time, which you can use to reconstruct the scene. So then you can say, well, okay, then I actually do have a lot of data. It's just that it's in the form of 2D videos. And if I can extract it, if I can extract 3D from it, I can use that to make my 3D model better. Makes sense. And then subsequent to that, even better is, what if we used video models, like traditional video models, to make this multi-view data, right? So that's the next step. Instead of having a human wave their phone around, you just ask a video model, can you make me a video going around an object? You take this video and you triangulate on it. You do photogrammetry, whatever it is, and you extract a mesh. Cool. Much more scalable. The video models will have seen much more of the world. So that tends to be better. And I'm getting to the point of how we got to Reactor, right? And so the research at the time was saying, well, what if we just ask a video model to give us the multi-view images of an object, and then we just triangulate from them and make a mesh, which is the same thing you would do if you were waving a phone around. It's the same process, only that the video comes from the video model. And that actually works. It's actually pretty good, and actually often has better performance than a purely text to 3D video model in general. And it's getting better, of course, today. And that's when we kind of had this eureka moment where we were like, okay, well, if you do that, you are implying that the video model is already smart enough to understand 3D. Because you're implying it, because if you are able to triangulate points on the video that it gives you, and the mesh that comes out is not wobbly, by necessity, by definition, you imply that the video model does 3D pretty well. It has to think about 3D to give you those multi-view images that look correct. So you're admitting that. Even if you don't realize it, you're admitting that, okay? But at the end of the day, at the end of this whole process, when you extract a mesh, you're still putting it back in an engine and you're producing pixels again, just from different perspectives. I'm putting it in a real engine and I'm moving the camera this way and I'm generating frames. When I'm looking at a screen, I'm looking at pixels. But the video model already gave you the pixels. It was already showing you the thing, right? It's just very slow, not interactive. But then you say, well, if it became fast enough and interactive, why do I even need to extract a mesh at all to look at the pixels that I wanted to look at in the first place? Granted, you have all these issues like, what if I want to relight the scene? But actually, video models are better at that too than putting it in a synthetic 3D scene, right? So the leap was like, wait a minute, if video models become fast enough and interactive, then we can bypass entirely the traditional rasterization pipeline. You just make the pixels from a real-time video model. And then you say, okay, can this happen? There was some initial research that showed that was possible. And on top of that, you looked at the pace of progress in video generation and you say, well, market forces, whether I exist or not, will make it so that people want cheaper, faster video generations. It's just capitalism, right? So it's granted that there's enormous, tremendous amounts of money thrown into making these things real-time and interactive. So it is going to happen. So what the hell are we doing here? Why are we bothering with 3D at all? Just make the pixels, right? And so then we switched entirely, we dropped all of that and we switched to Reactor and we were like, let's start experiment with it. Of course, at the beginning, Reactor wasn't what it is today, but that was kind of the leap from meshes to pixels, I would say. And I became super convinced that for a lot of applications, not all of them probably, but for a lot of applications, making pixels on the fly is the right way than using a byproduct mesh instead in the way of it.
But was the catalyst Genie 1 was out there at that time?
Oh, actually, that's a great question. It was actually a model called Matrix Game by Alibaba that overfit a world model on a Forza driving game. And it worked. Yeah, granted, it was completely overfit on Forza in a few scenes, but you could drive a car in real time. But the 3D, none of it was 3D. It was all made up on the fly by the model. And we were like, well, okay, I mean, if this is the beginning of 2025 and it's possible, surely give it a year or so, it's going to be amazing. And so, that's what really also gave us conviction in it.
And then you were at Apple on the Vision Pro team, you were at Skydio, Bryce was there as well. Were you just waiting for an opportunity to leave and start a company? Was there a specific moment you were like, okay, now we're ready?
To me, it was two things. One was that me and Bryce were at a similar point in life that we could do it. And, I think that having a co-founder that you gel with is super important. And we knew that we would have worked out. And we just happened to be at similar points in life that it made sense to do it. And also, the pace of progress in AI was so incredible that you could suspend disbelief that even though basically world models were almost non-existent, that if you just kind of looked at the graph, you could say, well, if I start now, I'm going to be ready for when they hit.
Yeah.
Although everybody else, they don't see that. And so these two things together made it so that we got to start now, because otherwise, if we start any months later, we're going to be late. I wasn't really looking to do it, I would say. I really enjoyed working at Skydio. But the inflection point kind of became apparent to me. And Bryce being around was like, well, it's the time to do it kind of thing, I would say.
I guess you were like, in general, we want to work on real-time video platform.
It wasn't word models. Vector 3D, it was like AI with 3D kind of stuff. So we were like, we just have a delusional belief in the fact that we'll figure it out. We were just like, we're fine. We know that we're smart enough that something will come out of it if we operate in the field that we care about. Like, we didn't have all these things planned out. We just had like the time is right. These people are here, like me and him, we can do it. And we like this space. We'll just kind of jam on it from this core and something will come out.
The pace is staggering. It's like every day, I'm sure you feel like, are we doing the right thing? But for you, let's go back a bit. You grew up near Florence. You got a games degree. You've been doing GPU and compiler work. You did AR and VR, autonomy at Skydio. So looking back, it feels right. May not have you planned it exactly.
Zero. No.
Like for an investor, this is like gold. It's like, you trace a straight line. It's like da-da-da-da-da, world model.
It
makes complete sense.
I agree. I owe a lot of my life to GTA. I mean, basically almost the majority of it. Like, the reason I went to Scotland was for GTA. The reason I'm into programming was for GTA. Like, I started modding GTA and I was like, oh, interesting. You can write stuff and it happens. I owe a lot to that game and that company, Rockstar. Like, honestly, it set me up to where I am today. But initially I just wanted to make games, and actually not any games. I wanted to work on GTA. Which I kind of almost did. And then, but in an adjacent way, I did work on it. It led me to work on AR, VR. I think in retrospect, it led me to be able to take on world models. But definitely when I was like 17 and stuff, I was like, I don't know, I just want to work on games, study English, live abroad, and kind of be in a place that's more techie than Florence, Florence is an amazing place. I needed to go somewhere else that was more nerdy and techie for me to really like say what I had to say, I guess, So I think looking back, it was kind of a straight line, but it didn't feel that way at all. I wouldn't say that I didn't plan anything. I did plan the fact, okay, if I go study abroad and I learn English, it's going to help me, right? For sure. And I can work at this company. Or if I work at Apple on the Vision Pro, I can help AR, VR happen. Of course, I planned that, but like not to this extent.
I think like we should all go back to Florence a bit for art, though. I mean, where you are building creativity, if what you do is successful, then the world will be far more creative.
Yes.
It will give the opportunity for everybody to render the world the way they like it to be. And sometimes I think like world models or just general, anything AR, VR gets a bad rep because I think it's like trying to illusion reality where they're like, oh, we don't like the real world. But I feel like if you do right and the companies building the models are able to do it right, then the world should be more creative.
100%.
In a more modern world rather than the Florence Renaissance.
I do think that's a great point. I do think that sometimes Leonardo and these people would be turning in their graves at how much they're respected, in the sense of like whatever they built now is so respected that it kind of stifles innovation sometimes. And so I hope that with technologies like this, we can actually, in a good way, destroy some of the past to bring the future forward. And I'm sure that guys like him, they would totally be playing with this technology and kind of figuring out what the hell is this and kind of how do I use it? How do I explore with it? And to your point about AR, VR, I think that there is a misunderstanding, I think, as to why people like video games and virtual worlds. It's like, there is just so much you can do with your physical body in terms of escapism and experiencing things. For better or worse, I will never be John Marston in Red Dead Redemption. I will never be a cowboy.
Yeah.
But it's fun to try and be a cowboy, just because it's fun,
Yeah.
And so video games and these kind of things allow you to have those kind of experiences without necessarily, if you don't have the means or it's just impossible to have them. And I think that as a kid, for example, I loved video games because I loved the real world and going on my bicycle and everything like that, but I also loved adventure and magical things. And it's cool to suspend belief and believe in magical things and have those kind of adventures. It also teaches you about certain topics in life that would be tough to do other ways. So if we enable other people and more creators to use world models to make new worlds, I think it actually could even increase the relationship that we have with the real world, because more people could be educated about things like the environment or respecting animals or respecting people, right? Because you could be put in situations in there that teach you about these topics. so that you're a better human also in the real world. And so I think that virtual worlds are actually super powerful, super interesting, and they're not a substitute for the real world, not entirely anyway. I mean, I'm super excited for what they can bring.
You were in stealth for a while. Like, how did you manage that? I know it was you and Bryce for a long time, but it seems like you were in stealth for a while and suddenly it's accelerated. Tell me what the last 6 to 12 months actually have been like.
Yeah.
Because people see the headlines, they're like 59 million raised in like the nice launch video, but we both know it's not as simple as that.
No, not at all. I mean, so me and Bryce, we tend to be a little outlier in the sense of like how we approach the business. We don't like making noise for no reason or revealing more than we have to the world. I think that's because we worked at Apple and we have this sense of like, show the thing when you have it ready. Of course, Apple is the extreme case. We cannot do that as a startup, but we really like to keep our cards close to our chest and kind of reveal when we have to. And so we just didn't have the need to tell people that we were doing this thing until now. Also because we wanted to build it up to a point where we were proud of what we were going to show to the world and that people could actually use it. We really dislike people promoting products that are unfinished. We just like to walk the walk instead of talking the talk a lot. So it was a natural thing for us to do. We are just private people more than others, I think. So it didn't feel wrong. And also it was because for a long time, to be honest, we were incubating the idea. There was a long time where we didn't have a salary. We just paid all of out of our pockets for months. From like end of 2024 to basically effectively June, July, we were just on our own, like just paying well, not even paying ourselves, it's nothing. And so we're like, there was no need to announce anything for those. And it was just a lot of really uncertain work. Like a lot of let's figure it out. And, you go one direction and it doesn't work. Like it's a lot of like really bumping into the walls. So the first 6 months to 4 months was literally just that. Just bumping into the walls. And we decided early on to not take any money until we could go with a straight face to somebody and ask for money with an idea that we felt proud of and that we felt good about. We didn't want to do it before then. And so we did that. When we felt good about it, we did go and take some money. And even then, we just didn't feel any need to announce that we existed because we knew that the right people would come to Reactor anyway. If anything, it was a good filter for, are you actually interested in this topic that nobody knows about and nobody cares about yet, with a company that is not public, with a little bit of money only, and you really find the insane missionaries that way. Like literally, the people that we've built up until this point, before we even were public, we know as a fact they're all like super bought into the idea. Like, they're not here because we're flashy, because we weren't. Nobody kind of knew about us. They weren't here because of the money, because we just recently did a Series A only now. So I think people are too eager to reveal to the world what they do. There is a song that I like, The Lost Art of Keeping a Secret. It's good to keep secrets in that sense and like reveal when you have to. And so the journey was just a lot of hard work and doors slammed in the face and just persevering. It's very cliche. That's what every founder would tell you. I'm not telling you anything that people haven't heard before, but it's just like, in our case, I think we were more silent than others, and I think we did the right thing because it also removes distractions. The inbound is stupid and it's a lot of noise that you don't really need. And so I think it was good to build up to this point without that.
How did you end up deciding who to take capital from? You said missionaries obviously aligned in the mission as well.
Yes.
We met because of an essay.
The same reason. It's the same reason, right? So people that had built conviction before, before it was cool to do world models, I think that's why a lot of the investors that we have in this round are the investors that existed before, because these people like you, they saw the future together with us. There is a lot of people that now in the VC world that are interested in us just because now it's cool to do world models. But getting to that conviction is easy because it's like a bubble. Not a bubble, sorry. It's like a mimetic. Consensus, thank you. But getting to that conviction early on when there was very fewer signs of traction, the technology was still early, just thinking for yourself, we really respect that a lot. And so just because it means that this is a person that in the next situation when something is uncertain and it's not consensus, they can think more by themselves and hopefully come to a conclusion that is not just consensus. It's like, so if we ask for help, they'll not just be like, oh, what is everybody else doing? And tell you, they'll be like, well, let me think. Maybe it's wrong, maybe it's right, but it wouldn't just be consensus based. And so really that was the main thing, because I think that if you work on something interesting with the right team, raising capital is not as much the issue. Not as much. Don't get me wrong. It's still a tough job. But the tough
It's a
job
byproduct.
it's a byproduct. I think it's more like picking the right people is so fundamentally important. I cannot stress enough. Please work with investors that you like and that are smart and that can stand on their own in convictions, because it makes the whole difference. And so we optimize for that as much as we could, and it's paid enormous dividends. It doesn't have to be a flashy name. It doesn't matter. If these people are upright, they don't have to be nice. They have to have a spine and tell you to your face when you're doing something wrong, but they need to be kind, just not nice, and also have their own internal conviction. I much rather appreciate someone that tells us, no, I don't believe in this. And they don't just turn around the moment that it's consensus. They just, I've made my mind up. That's, okay. I respect that, that's fine. I disagree, but that's okay. So that's the way that we pick investors, including you, right? I mean, your essay was like so much ahead of time. I remember you were basically the pioneer in many ways about this. It's true. And we're like, who is this guy? Amazing. I need to talk to him. You had your own conviction way before other people, because you stopped and you look at the world and you were like, well, this makes sense, right? And we did the same. So we try to find people that thought the same way, basically.
Your passion comes through, whether it's here or in X. And I get a lot of people, even a year ago, even today, when they look at world models, they think it's a toy. People, when you launch, are like, oh, the frames are not right, or it has no memory, or the quality is not as good. In my head, when I was looking at it, it was gaming, entertainment, and robotics seems like good applications for the next couple of years. How do you think about what are the aspects or categories where you're going to see rapid growth? What are some things that you think will take time? Because I think for me, I believe like every pixel will be generated in real time, like every pixel. And I think it's only a matter of time. Everything will have its own S-curve.
Absolutely, yeah.
As you were thinking about fundraising, as you were thinking about demand from all these models that need a good partner to partner with, what are you seeing that when someone looks at this conversation, they'd be like, oh yeah, I didn't even think that's going to happen?
That's fair. I would say, so there is, first of all, this grassroots movement of prosumers, indie developers, and AI-first startups that want to integrate world models to either create new types of experiences entirely, meaning like video games or movie hybrids, and I'll explain what I mean by that. Also, just using world models to make videos themselves. They are a much more immediate and intuitive way for humans to make video and images, because if you think about it, the fact that we have in video generation start and end image, it's just a coping mechanism for the fact that I don't know how to control this thing really well. The holy grail would be something that the moment you ask it to do something, you see it, you can pause, you can go back, you can tweak, you can branch out. And that's exactly what real-time world models allow you to do. And so we're getting a lot of traction in people that want to build prosumer to make video, Hollywood and streaming platforms as well. I'll tell you, what Hollywood does today, for example, with media gen is, things are getting a little better, but it's still like that. They run 400 generations with the same prompt and they see what happens. And then maybe they pick one. So, I mean, that's just, again, a coping mechanism to the fact that I don't know what the hell I'm getting and I want control. So control is super important, and real-time enables that. Real-time interactivity enables that. And that's what video world models enable. So a strong pull there for people that are building startups around that concept, and existing companies, large and small, that want to control video generation more. Then there is a lot of interest in the new medium that this opens up, which is the part that also excites me a lot, which is, okay, what happens when you can put anything on screen, any pixel can be generative, right? In real time. For example, you can have a new type of entertainment where you can adapt content in real time in a way that wasn't possible before. So if I'm watching and you're watching Shrek, it branches just a little so that we can still talk about Shrek. The director becomes a programmer and it says, I want Shrek to do this if the user is this person. If it's their birthday, Shrek should say, happy birthday. But they never have to pre-make that, and it can happen right then and there. I'm very excited about that medium. I've had numerous conversations with large companies. You can imagine the usual suspects around, this is really cool. We've thought about this forever. We want to do it. We're engaging with those. I'm excited about what it means for video games from like the perspective of like, what kind of video games can you make new? Like, one of the reasons that I'm very excited about world models and real-time video generation is that it is additive compared to replacing. Video and image generation, they could replace artists or whatever. Real-time gen, it opens up a new medium that literally didn't exist before. And so I'm very excited about the fact that it's additive. And so I'm excited to see what is the net new that can be made. And I can imagine a few things. But one of the reasons that we build an SDK is that honestly, we'll have to see a little bit, which is the exciting part. That's why we give it to creators. And we already are being surprised. I mean, now I'm convinced that there's going to be net new things that we don't even imagine that are going to be built with it. So there is that. And finally, robotics. Robotics, huge field and huge pool from them in the world model space where we're starting to power some very significant startups and large corporations there that also are working with world models, and they need something like Reactor. So to answer your question, in the next 6 to 12 months, there's going to be robotics and prosumers, the grassroots kind of movement of developers and indie developers. The 12 months onwards, 24 months onwards is going to be enterprise, media gen, and robotics as well. Eventually, yes, it's going to be any software, but we're going to get there in the next probably 3 years, 4 years, something like that.
You harp a lot about latency, and one of the hardest things about Reactor, which pulled me in, was also your core focus on low latency.
Yeah.
On the media side, understandable, maybe on the robotics side as well. I think in all your writing I've seen, it's like 500 milliseconds. It's like there's like a barrier that you wanted to hit. Is it because for robotics, you can't have too long? For gaming, it's like the human eye perception. Tell me a little bit more about like why low latency is so critical.
Low latency is a proxy often for innovation. It's interesting, right? So if you think of what happened when we went from mainframes, that you gave in a punch card and you waited a minute and then it gave you the result. Like I'm using Excel and literally real time, I can do formulas and see what's up. Or like the fact that I can play video games at all is because we went from non-real-time system to real-time. So, or if you think about Photoshop, imagine today what we have in video models is the equivalent of I'm in Photoshop and I draw a line and nothing happens. And then in 10 minutes, I see the line. Photoshop just wouldn't exist as a product. So interactivity in real time is often a proxy for innovation and new markets being created. So if you work on that and you use something like video games as a proxy as to why you do it, there is always other areas that you unlock that are very important and useful. That's why to us, it's super important because in the immediate term, it unlocks the kind of markets that we talked about. And so that's great for us and for the markets. But it also, as a byproduct almost, makes it so that new types of markets and technologies can be created on top of that, like it's always happened in human history, including nothing that has to do with humans. In general, even for systems that have to talk to each other, you always will want them to be faster, more interactive, more real time.
Yeah.
Because of money, because of speed of use, because of when you want to see the results. So there is a natural tendency for humans and systems for the humans to make them real time and interactive across the board. So that's why we have this maniac-like focus on low latency. Of course, at the basic level, yes, it actually enables these kind of applications. Like if the latency is too high and I'm playing a game, I'm not going to play it.
Yeah.
Or if it's too high and I'm generating a video and I give it a prompt and nothing happens, I'm just not going to use it. So that's why it's there in the first place. And the way that you achieve that is through an enormous amount of work. I think people underappreciate, and you have to really build the stack, rebuild it from the ground up to be geared towards that, or you're going to struggle enormously. So that's why we've been super focused on this, because from a product perspective, it makes sense today, and it makes sense 3 years from now, 4 years from now, especially 5 years from now, especially if pixels become all generated, you better have low latency systems, right?
But how much of it do you control versus the model that you're powering?
Oh, great question. A lot of both. So we spend a lot of time optimizing the models. The models we get often are great, but they're not fast. And so we spend a lot of time optimizing them, and we have our own custom runtime that speeds them up many times from baseline, which enables applications like this. And then, of course, our whole runtime and cloud stack has been built with that in mind. So I think that you have to do both at the same time. You cannot just do one, because then you can have the fastest model possible. If your cloud and network stack is bad or not scalable, you're not going to go anywhere. In the same vein, you could have the best stack possible, networking-wise and cloud-wise, with scalability and everything, and then your model is low. Not going to happen. So we work very closely with the labs, actually, on this to make sure that their model is fast, so that when we put it on Reactor, fast model with fast stack, you get the best of both worlds. So we have to work across the stack. Otherwise, we're not going to have a product, basically.
I guess this comes with the design partners you'll end up working with.
Yes.
It's like very much a collaboration of what the stack looks like as well. And that enables you to be a great partner for them too. Switching gears a bit, you're CEO now. How does that feel? Now a bigger company than the two of you.
Yeah.
How have you imbibed the change? How have you figured out? It's not easy scaling from two when you and Bryce are almost telepathic.
Yeah, that's
having
true.
a team, managing in, managing out, hiring.
I think The best thing to not go insane is, first of all, you need to want this kind of life. It's very busy all the time. You need to want to work on weekends and work at night. And if you don't want that, don't do it. Just don't even try, right? There's nothing wrong with not wanting it. It's just like, that's the life you sign up for, right? So I kind of knew it. So that change wasn't that difficult. I think I'm doing okay in the sense of, like, I don't feel stressed. I feel more excited and tense in the sense of, like, I feel the opportunity and I'm like, I want to go grab it. So that's more like the way that I feel most of the time. And then I would say the amount of learnings in the last 12 months, I mean, incredible, insane. And then I think you can do it if you hire people that you don't have to manage. I think that's the biggest unlock that we've had. We've only hired people that we don't need to manage, because I think if you have to manage a team of 20 and actually manage them, you need, I don't know how many skip level to just keep track of what's going on, right? But if you hire people that are self-starting and they just do the thing, you can basically just tell them, hey, this is where we're going. And you wake up the next morning and they've done stuff. And I think that's the best thing you can do. To be agile and have a strong team, just hire people that self-manage. CEO is a big responsibility, but in a way, it feels more like level playing field where I have my role and somebody else has a different role, but I'm not above them or something. It's just like, I'm doing my thing, they do their thing. More like a soccer team. Like, the goalkeeper is not more important than the defending guy, right? It's just they're different roles. In a soccer team, you don't have to, as the goalkeeper, manage you know that the professional person, you try and hire only Cristiano Ronaldos and stuff. If you hire a bunch of Cristiano Ronaldos, just go to the game and you play. That's the way that it feels for me as a CEO, honestly. Of course, I mean, there's a lot of responsibilities that come with that, but I don't feel like, at least on the team side of things, I just trust people to do the right thing. So far, they've done it, and I'm very happy, and we'll try and continue to hire people only of that kind. I think if we do that, we're going to scale also massively, organically, basically.
Last question is, like, your developer who's hearing the word world model the first time, what do they do with Reactor? What do you recommend them to do?
Yeah, I would say, go to reactor.inc, sign up, and get access, and then try our playground. You don't even have to build an app to try. Just try the playground, try prompting the world models, get familiar with them. And I'm prepared to bet that within minutes, you'll be thinking, well, the playground is cool, but I want to do something different with it. Great. We have a button, you can clone it, you get the code, start hacking with it. I think that's the best way to do it. And ideas will spin out. And I think, honestly, we live in a world where it's very permissionless to build applications, and that's what we're trying to enable. So just come to the site, sign up, try the playground, remix it, and get going. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you for having me. This is great. Yeah. Let's go.
All right. Let's hope this saved.